got some breaking news. Wilson Contreras coming to the Red Sox.
He's 33 years old, going to be 34 years old. Which direction is that going to go?
On paper, the Red Sox are ready to compete. They have a young ace locked up, a young core headlined by Roman Anthony, and a manager with championship pedigree. The general manager of the Boston Red Sox himself said that they need to add a number 2 pitcher and a big bat in the middle of the order. All signs were pointing towards the Red Sox going all in this offseason. Instead, the Red Sox are sitting there 2 months away from pitchers and catchers reporting for spring training and still haven't added the pieces necessary to fulfill those promises. Or have they? In 2025, the Boston Red Sox showed promise. They had missed the playoffs for countless seasons prior to that. And with the emergence of top prospect Roman Anthony, they genuinely looked like contenders. That was until he suffered an oblique strain that ended his season in early September. Fast forward to the Red Sox unceremonious defeat to the Yankees in the AL wildcard, and it's obvious the Red Sox need another bat in the middle of their order. Even GM Craig Breslow admitted that.
I think someone that is a threat who can hit in the middle of the order and can lengthen our lineup is going to be something that we're going to pursue.
For those reasons, it wasn't a shock to see many people upset when the Red Sox missed out on Pete Alonso. Sure, the Red Sox also missed out on Kyle Schwarber, but that was never an ideal fit. The Red Sox have a logjam at DH, so Pete Alonso was always the better fit at first base. But we all know how that went. Things got so bad for the Sox in free agency that they were one of 2 teams to not sign a big league free agent this offseason. Them and the Colorado Rockies. That's not ideal for a team looking to contend in 2026. But then the Red Sox finally made waves by trading for Wilson Contreras, a former all-star catcher turned first baseman with the St. Louis Cardinals. And look, I'll be honest, do I think the Red Sox got better with this trade? Yes, of course. The Red Sox haven't had a legitimate first baseman since Steve freaking Pearce. But were they forced into this trade? Well, we're going to get into that a little later, but I seriously think Craig Breslow had his hands tied on this one. Let me put into perspective how important it was for the Red Sox to get a legitimate first baseman this offseason. Last season, the Boston Red Sox first base position ranked 21st in WRC plus and 16th in OPS. To make matters worse, they were terrible defensively, ranking just 22nd in outs above average. Tristan Casas, their young up-and-coming first baseman, has had season-ending injuries the last 2 years in a row. The first base position is supposed to be a big bopper, a guy who can carry the offense. Instead, the first base position was a negative for the Sox. In comparison, last season, Wilson Contreras had a 124 WRC plus, and he had 6 outs above average at first. This is a player, by the way, who will objectively help the Red Sox in 2026. But after that, well, that's a different story. With the Cardinals eating $8 million in this deal, Contreras will still be owed $18 million in 2026, $17 million in 2027, and then he has a $20 million club option in 2028. That is not ideal for a guy turning 34 next year. But before we hop into the actual trade analysis and what this means for both the Red Sox and the Cardinals, I have one question for the Red Sox. If you were unwilling to pay Pete Alonso into his mid-30s, why on earth are you comfortable paying a 34-year-old first baseman who's coming off his first year of playing the position full-time? That makes no sense to me. Sure, Pete is being paid significantly more money and this deal is for less money, but he's also younger and he's way more valuable. He hits way more long balls than Wilson Contreras. But as for the trade itself, the Red Sox are shipping over Hunter Dobbins, Yoker Fajardo, and Blake Aida. Now, besides for Dobbins, Fajardo and Aida are both young pitching prospects who have barely scratched high A, so if anything, they're kind of lottery tickets, but Hunter Dobbins is the real return for the Cardinals here. So if you're a St. Louis fan, you're going to love this kid. In 2025, Dobbins started 11 games with a 4.13 ERA, and I know the whip and K per 9 aren't too encouraging, but just take a look at his baseball savant page. He has solid to elite ground ball percentage, barrel percentage, and walk percentage. This is a guy who can control the strike zone and produce weak contact. He's going to end up being a solid 3 or 4 arm for the Cardinals going forward. For the Red Sox, I don't mind giving up this package. The Red Sox don't need another mid-rotation arm, especially when they clearly value Brian Bale, Connolly Early, Peyton Toll, and Kyson Witherspoon over him. But if I like this trade, why do I think the Red Sox were kind of forced into this deal? So this is where I'm going to talk about that. Like I mentioned, before Craig Breslow promised fans he would get a solid bat. He promised fans he'd upgrade the team, and after missing out on Alonso, Schwarber, and possibly losing Bregman still, we don't know, to the Diamondbacks maybe in the near future, he has to make a move, and he made that right now in order to guarantee the Sox don't walk away with their hands held empty. Some models saw this trade as an overpay for the Red Sox, but they have so much pitching depth in their system, I don't really see this negatively affecting them long term. Plus, maybe I was being a little too negative before. Is Contreras getting older? Yeah, for sure. But his swing kind of fits Fenway Park if you think about it. Last year, Contreras' pull rate jumped from 15.1 in 2024 to 19.8 in 2025. So he's going to pummel the monster out in left field if that number continues to grow. I don't think the Red Sox care if his home run numbers dip as long as he's lacing doubles off the wall while playing plus defense. But I will say though, he does strike out a little too much for a team like the Red Sox that already had severe K issues last year, but it is better than going out and paying a guy like Munetaka Murakami who strikes out way more and is significantly worse defensively. And as we already know, he just signed with the White Sox on a 2-year deal because no other team in baseball clearly wanted to take a chance on him. Ultimately, this trade was about aggression and pivoting for the Red Sox. According to Bob Nightingale, the Red Sox are now out on Ketel Marte after this deal, which means the Diamondbacks might be forced to keep him, which also means they no longer have the money to pay Alex Bregman, which now means the Red Sox, by proxy, are once again the favorites to re-sign him. I think when we reevaluate trades, we look at the models, the analytics, the salaries to determine how impactful it is, but Craig Breslow is kind of playing chess out here. Ultimately, I think this is a solid deal for the Red Sox that will help them in 2026, but that doesn't mean I'm going to let Craig Breslow off this easily. He promised a big bat. He promised a number 2 arm. Fans envisioned that as Pete Alonso and Dylan Cease, Kyle Schwarber, Joe Ryan, not Wilson Contreras and Sonny Gray. I'm sorry. Obviously, the Red Sox still have time to turn this offseason around. After all, I don't think anyone thought Aroldis Chapman would be the best closer in baseball last year. For all we know, Breslow and the Sox pitching lab will turn Sonny Gray into an ace. But after all the promises so far, this is not the outcome that I think Sox fans envisioned. Ultimately, I still think the Yankees and Blue Jays will definitely beat them in the AL East. And honestly, I see a world where the Orioles and maybe even the Rays beat them too. That is if nothing else happens. And that's the important thing to remember here. Craig Breslow is a smart guy. He's a Yale graduate and values analytics. He's not dumb enough to think that this team can compete with the top of the AL. Let's remember one key person in the Red Sox offseason, Jarren Duran. Duran is the odd man out in the Red Sox outfield, but he still has a ton of value. Duran is under team control until 2029, and he's had a combined 13.3 B WAR over his last 2 seasons. He might be the odd man out in Boston, but he'd headline plenty of other outfields in Major League Baseball. Right now, it's rumored the Sox are holding out with the Royals in an attempt to get Cole Ragans. And if Breslow can get that deal done, guys, I mean, I'll give credit where it's due. That Cole Ragans is definitely a number 2 arm. That would be a huge deal for the Red Sox. But that's a big if. And right now, it looks like the Royals would rather opt for another bat and keep their big lefty instead. But that doesn't mean that Duran doesn't have value. They could flip him for another bat, attach him to Masataka Yoshida to get the money off their books, and use that money elsewhere. There are plenty of options out there for the Red Sox. My whole point is that the Red Sox have had an underwhelming offseason up until this point, but they still have the assets and time to turn things all around.
Do you really think this is a needle mover? No, I don't think this is the move that puts you into, hey, we're going to win a World Series.
Remember, Alex Bregman signed with the Red Sox in February last year. Before that, it seemed like a failed offseason. If I'm Craig Breslow, here's what I would do to make the Red Sox bona fide contenders going into 2026. Sign Tatsuya Imae, re-sign Alex Bregman, bring in Eugenio Suarez somehow on a short-term high AAV contract, and then go trade Jarren Duran for either a big bat or a proven starting pitcher. Now, I know that's way easier said than done, but there's still a path for Craig Breslow to make the Red Sox a legitimate threat. All in all, the AL East is shaping up to be a generational division, and I would not be shocked if all 3 AL wildcard teams come out of the East. I know I was a little negative about the Red Sox in this video, but it's only because of the expectations the Red Sox place upon themselves as a franchise and their history. Their own GM promised these things to the fans, not me. Roman Anthony is a generational talent. Build around him while you can, because if you don't, you're going to regret it in 10 to 15 years when he's on his way out, or in 7 to 9 years when you trade him, because, well, that appears to be what the Red Sox do when they have generational talent. All in all, Wilson Contreras is a step in the right direction for Boston. The only question left is how many more steps are they willing to take? But let me know in the comments below, do you think this was a good trade? Who was the real winner here? Is St. Louis a sorry franchise for the next 10 years? And is Boston good enough to make the playoffs in a powerful AL East? Let me know. I'll see you on the next one.